In this quick video, I'm going to go over the momentum trading strategy software. I get a lot of questions on what's included inside, and so that's what we're going to go over. All right, so when you first log in, it's going to take you to the market overview dashboard. I want you to understand first, these tabs where we go market overview, RS dashboard, the relative strength scanner, watch list, all the way to the trading journal. This is kind of guiding you through everything that we teach and everything in your trading process. So it's a tool to kind of support your trading and kind of is aligned with the momentum trading strategy course. And if you're a growth stock investor or momentum trader like William O'Neill, Dan Zanger, Christian Qualamagi, Mark Minerini, and all the U.S. investing champions that are in that wheelhouse, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. So this just gives us a snapshot. A lot of this data is everything I go over on the weekend. And if you want to read the big picture, just go to resources, big picture. It takes you to the most recent article on Substack. There you go. So think of this, we're at satellite view, we're zoomed out, we're looking at the state of the market. Then we're we're wanting to see where relative strength is. Just get a snapshot from the major indexes, the sectors to the subsectors and industry groups. And so, for example, you'll see here RS 3 months. Just think of where relative strength has been coming off the March 30th lows for most of April, May till early June. And we all know the answer to this. It was tech. It was, and that's what this is showing us. Russell 2000 Growth Fund, the NASDAQ 100, NASDAQ equal weight. And then sectors, XLK was just dominating the entire time. And then the leading industry group was semis. Semiconductors were kind of leading the way. Now, we know since early June, we've seen a change. We've been talking about this over the past few weeks. And this is what it's kind of showing you. So you'd be able to see this yourself, where the Russell 1000, Russell 2000 value and the Dow are kind of now the leading indexes. And we see that healthcare, financials, industrials, and utilities have been kind of leading for sectors. And then down to subsectors and industry groups, you'll see big change with healthcare, biotech, pharma, insurance, banks, home builders, medical equipment kind of leading the way. So that gives us an idea of where strength is. Then we go to our relative strength stock screener. So now we're zooming in, right? And now we're looking at individual stocks. And so again, this is a relative strength stock screener where we can look at relative strength on all different time frames: 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 1 year, 1 week. We could look at all time frames, accelerating, what's losing strength, decelerating. We can kind of customize it. We can go into filters and we can select what time frames. We could do all time frames, set a minimum threshold. We could do relative strength by specific periods, min and max. So there's lots of features in here. We also can kind of set up our own fundamental filters. I have my own proprietary filters. For example, the MTS RS time frame can be changed. The standard is 1 year though. The MTS score will look at everything: relative strength, earnings, sales, pre-tax margins, ROE, the industry group it's in, all those kind of slim characteristics that William O'Neill talks about. And so there's plenty more in here for advanced filters. But if you want to keep it simple, you can just mess around with the relative strength. I also have preset filters. This is where I find many of the biggest leading stocks over the last year or so that I've shared with everyone. You can click here, leaders slim. It'll show the names. You can set, this is how I like to look at it with my fundamentals, my relative strength, performance, the industry group that it's in, RS, the MTS score. But you can customize this. So the default is just the price, the name, the ticker, the relative strength, and the performance. This is stuff I add. And you can customize it here, and you can save your setup. You can set the whatever different, customized columns you want to set up. You can save it. And it's pretty easy to adjust. You can just kind of drag and drop where you want to place the columns as well. You can look at a chart while you're scanning. So you go through your screen and you just hit the space bar and you can look at each ticker and you can glance. These side panels you can either hide, you can show them, you can take away some, keep some up. And these are the ones I like to look at, like the quarterly fundamentals, the earnings, the sales growth quarter over quarter, funds increasing in the name. I like to look at that. And this can do so much more. It has diving deeper into industry group. We've broken it up to 146 different industry groups, and we rank it by different time frames. You can get specific on the time frame, and you can do it by actual rank, or you could do it by RS. And it's the same thing for sectors. We do the same thing. And if you click in any of these, you can see all the stocks, and you can even align it with the filters that we have. So this leaders canceling preset with this sector, it's showing you the names. Or you can, turn that off and just see all the names in that sector. So let me reset this. There's plenty of functionality within the RS scanner. Then we can add stocks by hitting the little plus sign to either our watch list by category, by whether it's just a name you want to watch, one that's near a pivot where it's getting close to buyable, and then it's in a buy zone, or you maybe just actioned it and you want to keep track of it. And you'll be able to see all them over here at watch list, or in the RS scanner, we have a little side watch list panel, and it shows up. And then you can also categorize, like within that watch near pivot actionable, you can create additional watch lists that kind of fit in that flow. Like say you want to separate your CanSlim names from just your technical trades, or you want to break it up into different industry groups or by date, however you want to organize your watch lists. So you can have multiple. And then you have a tab to kind of organize your watch list a little more. You have a chart and all that. And then position sizing. We also have position sizing tool to be able to know how many shares to buy, and you can put your account size, how much you want to risk on the trade, and it'll tell you the shares based on your buy point and where you want to place your stop. It also has the ability to do staggered stops. We have a trade management tool, Kelly calculator, Minervini calculator, BASO ATR calculator, optimal size based on your trading data, kind of help you determine your optimal position size. The marble game, Dr. Van Tharp's marble game, which will open your eyes to why position sizing is so important. I can't stress that enough. It's really aligned with his books too, Super Trader, Definitive Guide to Position Sizing. And you can play. It's a fun little game too. You can play with people. The Mark Minervini's RBAF, result-based assumption forecast tool as well. And then we get down to the trading journal. And this isn't just a trading journal. It's something we can use to plan our trades. So here we go. You can plan your entire trades. It covers everything, like what setup you're going to use, the time frame, what your thesis, why you're taking the trade, different levels, whether you're going to use a single stop, staggered stop, and all that. You just follow all the tabs, and you should have a decent plan, some contingencies in there. And then once you're done planning your trade, once you hit triggered, you can then move to trade management and kind of pull that trade data in here. And now you can kind of update your plan, because once you're in a trade, sometimes conditions change, the stock changes, things change, and you can kind of update the plan along the way. And, when you sell some into strength, you can mark that, help you keep track of your risk management. When you have some ads, you want to add some at a certain level, and it'll kind of show you your risk from there. And then we have, once you close out the trade, obviously your standard journal, but it's, more than that. The biggest thing is now we're, conducting trade review, and this is how we improve. What went right, what went wrong, what can you improve on and learn from the trade, what mistakes were made, and then also kind of put our images with our chart write-ups so we can potentially build our model book later. And then all our data, we have our monthly and our annual data here. And pretty much all the key metrics you need to kind of keep track of your trading, right? And then we have kind of our coaching breakdown. So it takes all that data and it shows you your distribution of gain and losses. Make sure you're not having too many large losses. You want to see a lot of small losses, and then you want to see, here's your singles and doubles, and then you want to see your home runs down the bell curve. performance by setup. So this kind of, things like this will tell you. You may think that you like flags, but this will tell you no. Your best setups are VCPs and low cheats. Same thing with like your best performance by sector. Also, what your top mistakes are. You may think it's FOMOing into trades, but you realize no, it's actually late entries or whatever. And so, there's all your kind of analytics. So as you can see, we went through satellite view, diving into our individual stocks, to our watch list, to planning trades, to executing trades, to managing those trades, and to learning from our feedback from those trades and our data and analytics, right? Without that, how are you going to get better? And then we have resources, like I said, Big Picture, Market Pulse, the MTS course link takes you there. The Educational Hub is where I'm going to start putting tutorials, how to use this thing, other education and articles and whatnot. And then, trading view indicators, and we also have alerts. I didn't really talk much about that, but in the RS scanner, you also have alerts feature to be able to send an email to your phone, or if you have this up on your mobile device, it'll send you a notification. So, all right, that's everything within the platform. If you have any questions, please let me know. Take care.